Hello everyone! If you bring a lot of chess players to the same place and make them play chess, some interesting positions will definitely occur, and the $2 million will definitely gather a lot of chess players in the same place. It's been really hard choosing the games to show, as there are so many interesting games. This game here in particular really, caught my attention. And I really think Rapid is becoming one of my favorite time formats, if not the favorite one, as all the games are quite amazing. This game here, Sergey Karjakin has the white pieces against a Russian FIDE master, Andrey Esipenko. And although Andrey is a FIDE master, his rating in classical chess is somewhere around 2560 something. So I'm definitely curious what's the reason to him still being a FIDE master with such a high rating. And I did take the liberty of naming this game the Russian Beauty, but if a game is a beauty, you all know why the game is a beauty. But we'll get to that. The game was played in round 8, and Karjakin plays e4. Esipenko goes for c6, the Caro-Kann defense, knight to f3, and d5. Knight to c3, we have bishop to g4, h3, bishop captures, queen captures, and knight to f6. And here Karjakin certainly has a couple of options. He can push d4, he can capture, he can play bishop to e2, but he goes for the d3. We have e6, bishop to d2, and queen to b6 now, attacking the b2 pawn. Karjakin castles queenside, and we have d4 now. Knight to e2, and it's not Nc5, and it's not that white position is bad or anything. It's you have to be very careful. Your pieces are really boxed in here. The idea is something like g4 followed by g5 to kick away the knight would definitely go in favor of white, but Karjakin decides to do this with e5. This opens up the queen's attack to the b7 pawn, which could be useful. But on the other hand, it allows this knight to jump to d5, which Esipenko immediately uses. Knight to d5 and knight to f4. Esipenko ignores this knight, plays knight to b4. It's definitely a good square for the knight. It attacks the a2 pawn. Capturing the knight isn't really recommended. After pawn captures, a lot of lines will be open towards the white king. So king to b1, defending the a2 pawn, and we have knight to d7. Queen to e4, defending the e5 knight, as the e5 pawn as the knight was attacking it, and knight to c6, now with a double attack on the e5 pawn. And instead of, well, you can't really defend this pawn, Karjakin plays knight to h5, and what's the idea here? Karjakin wants Esipenko to play knight c captures on e5, after that he wants to push f4, after the knight retreats, he wants to push f5, and for the price of one pawn, he kind of did get something started here. But after this knight to h5 idea by Karjakin, Esipenko totally ignores him and castles queenside. f4 by Karjakin, now the e5 pawn is protected, and c4 comes. A pawn sacrifice by Esipenko, so the bishop from f8 can come to a3 and immediately join the attack on the queen side. D captures on c4 by Karjakin, we have bishop to a3, the threat of course is queen captures on b2, this will be checkmate, and the bishop to c1. There is also the option of playing b3, you could defend like this, but probably Karjakin's logic here was the pawn can always come to b3, better not push any pawns if you don't have to, which is usually a good idea. Bishop to c1, and knight to c5. Now the other knight joins the attack quickly with a tempo on the queen. Queen to f3 by Karjakin, and now d3. Another pawn sacrifice to get things started even faster. C captures on d3, and there really isn't a lot of moves you can do here. You could play something like c3, maybe rook to d2, but nothing's really good for white here. Karjakin plays c captures on d3, which is probably the most resilient move, and now comes knight to a4 with a triple attack on the b2 pawn. Rook to d2, Karjakin brings another defender of the b2 pawn, and now comes knight to d4. The other knight also comes into the attack with a tempo on the queen. Queen to f2, now the queen is also guarding b2 and also kind of pinning the knight. It would definitely be in Karjakin's favor if he could exchange queens here. But knight to c3 check, king to a1, and here it comes. I'm sure you can all guess the move, hence the title, The Russian Beauty. here Esipenko plays queen to b3. And the idea, of course, is he wants to play queen captures on a2. This will be checkmate. If you capture the queen, of course, knight captures on b3 is also checkmate. If you don't capture the queen, for example, if you capture the bishop, then queen to b1 is checkmate. So the only option Karjakin had here is to play b captures knight on c3. Queen captures on c3, this is with check. You can't play king to b1, or you get queen captures on c1, this will be checkmate. So bishop to b2, bishop captures with check. Again, you can't go king to b1 as queen to c1 is still checkmate. Rook to b2 was played, capturing the bishop, but now comes queen to c1 check. Rook to b1 blocking, and now comes knight to c2. This is check. The king has nowhere to go. Karjakin must part with his queen. So queen captures on c2, queen captures on c2, and g3 now. Probably with the idea of playing bishop to g2, maybe sacrifice the bishop to get the other rook into the game, but b5 is played, c captures on b5, and rook to d4, and in this position Sergey Karjakin, the former challenger for the World Championship and the guy they call Minister of Defense, resigned the game. There's really nothing to do here. White either has to play something like bishop to g2, give up a piece, but then you're just down even more material. If you play any other move, knight captures on g7, then you're in checkmate. Queen c3 check. Now rook b2, rook to b4. This was the idea of rook to d4. The threat, of course, is queen captures on b2, checkmate, sorry. And after white defends this, simply queen c1 check, rook has to block, and queen or rook captures on b1. This is checkmate. So a brilliant game by young Russian FIDE master. I think Andrey Esipenko is 15 years old now. And if anyone has any idea how come he's still a FIDE master with a rating of over 2560, I believe, do share in the comments. So that's the game. Sergey Karjakin versus Esipenko in round 8. I do hope you enjoyed it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and feel free to suggest your own favorite game from the World Rapid Championship. I will be sure to check all the comments. Use hashtag suggestion, please. Thank you all, and I will see you soon.